So, Ebbsfleet United tomorrow, a newly promoted team. What have you made of them so far?
Strong team, strong outfit. Obviously, cruised to promotion last season. This season played 8, won 4, lost 4. Decent record, 2 points. Nearly 2 points a game. They're scoring nearly 2 goals a game, so they're doing well. They're doing well. They've got a lad up front. Obviously, missed the Wildstone game, Polian, who's been around but still knows where the back of the net is. They've got some experienced players, some young players. I don't think there's an overriding pressure on them this season to do anything because, like all newly promoted sides, I'm sure their supporters just look for them to be mid-table, although I'm sure their manager would beg to differ with that. And if the season was to stop now, we'd be in the playoffs and so would they. So on paper, there's not a massive difference. Obviously, we're vying for that top spot, and I'm sure Dennis and his staff and team are vying for a playoff finish. I'm sure they believe they can do that. So it'll be a really tough game. We've got to go there, as favourites, like I say to you most weeks. A very difficult ground to go and play at. Hopefully we'll take a lot of supporters like we normally do and come back with 3 points. But, like my cliches always are, we've got to tick a lot of boxes, train well this morning and take it from there.
Ebbsfleet have scored a lot of goals as well, so are you expecting sort of 2 teams just to go at each other for 90 minutes?
I'm sure the neutral's hoping for that. There's been a lot of talk about the goals conceded and what have you, and so a step in the right direction is now our average is less than 2 goals conceded a game. As sort of fickle as that sounds, it's a big thing sometimes, is stats and the psychological approach and looking at league tables, not necessarily for the individual, but for some people, that's really important. So you've gone from conceded 2 a game on paper to less than 2 a game, and we're scoring definitely more than 2 a game. So if we can keep that trend going, that's the right direction, isn't it? Ebbsfleet has scored a lot. I mean, they've got walloped at Gateshead, but they're scoring goals, and like I say, they've got a goal scorer in their ranks, and that always helps. So no, they'll certainly be welcoming us to town to beat us. They'll want to beat us 100%, and we've got to make sure that we're going to have to ride some stormy waves during the game, I should imagine, and defend set pieces and counter attacks. But we've got to defend them well, and as I say, hopefully come back with the 3 points.
What's your assessment of the changes that you made to the back line last week? Do you think they did help you become more solid, even though you didn't get that clean sheet?
I suppose, yeah. I suppose you've gone a different way with the question now. I suppose if you say it helped us get the result, we've been winning whilst conceding goals. What was nice, I suppose, we won whilst conceding only 1 goal. Now, like I said to you before, that's certainly not a criticism of the lads who came out the team. What I will say at home is that Liam Mandeville, like I said to you after, we all believe can play many positions, and we put him there for certain tactical reasons, and it worked because we won. Just like we won at Aldershot, even though it was, made it very tough for ourselves. Miggs obviously coming at left side, centre half stroke full back. It's a little bit lopsided, as we know, that's what we like to do it. And was solid and joined some attacks as well. So it certainly didn't harm it, did it? Because if it had harmed it, I think we would have lost the game. But yeah, I'm very careful to say that that's the reason why we only conceded 1, because I think that would be disrespectful to the lads who came out.
As you say, Liam Mandeville played at right back. Is that a long-term plan? Because he is obviously very effective going forward. Do you see him filling in there quite regularly this season?
I think there's long-term plans in our office, and then there's game-by-game plans. There's different fragments of a football setup, and I think when you pick your team, when you pick your squad, it's for the long term, but the team is always the short term. I think you can only go from game to game. I think the days are gone of obviously having to keep the same team week in, week out. We've only got a 14-man squad. That was many years ago. So there's always going to be rotations. Obviously the manager likes to keep a winning team, but I think as you've seen from him recently, that's not always the case. With the gaffer, with us as staff, we will change things that we believe will help the team against a particular opposition. Now that might or might not happen tomorrow. As it stands, Mandy did ever so well in the game the other day, but I'm sure Mandy by his own admission would say he's more of an attacking player, like we all would. So whether he plays higher up, whether he plays right back, whether he's on the bench, we'll wait and see.
Is that a sort of situation that you sort of weigh up, whether you're at home or away? For example, whereas, if you're at home, of course, you're always on the front foot, but maybe away, you maybe play someone else there?
And that's a discussion that's been had, Liam, 100%, about maybe changing things a little bit up. And when you're away from home, you would at home. And that's not a recent discussion, that's a discussion last season, season before, and I think that's discussions from most coaching staffs around the country. Obviously, we've kept things quite similar while we've been winning. And what's important now is that we change or don't change to make sure that we kick on now. A club like Chesterfield, obviously, will consider a one-game defeat or a blip, like all big teams have, where some teams it takes 3 or 4 defeats to be called a blip, and that's the pressures of being with a bigger club and a bigger team. Obviously, with that one game at Altrincham, which we all agree was a poor performance, and we got what we deserved really in terms of our performance. Since then and before then, I think we've got what we deserve in terms of the points return. So you've got to make sure that a performance like Altrincham doesn't happen again. Whether we set up differently or not, that's what that's for us all to decide, and for everyone else to wait and see tomorrow. But we're in a good position. Obviously, we want that top spot to be joint top on points, but behind on goal difference is not a bad position to be 8 or so games in.
Do you have a number of games in mind where you think we can't afford to lose more than X amount of games? Obviously, last season was a bit of a sort of a bonkers season. That'll probably never happen again. Do you sort of look at the history tables and go, most teams who win the league lose less than 8 games type of thing? Yeah,
you have the odd glance. I mean, you look at some teams and they go a season losing a couple. Stockport, I think, lost about 8 or 9, if I remember rightly, albeit due to a poor start. And then Challoner came in and turned the corner for him, to be fair to him. So I don't know. It's tough. If you'd said at the start of the season, we want to go whole season unbeaten, we'd all say that. We want to be the first team to do that, blah, blah, blah. As it turns out, we've lost 1. So now we're saying let's try and go whole season without losing 2. You don't want to lose any games. But in terms of your original question about a target, not really. I think, personally, if we finish top with 30 points, even though mathematically that wouldn't happen, you'd take it, wouldn't you? But as long as we finish top, I'll be happy. But yeah, you're right. If we can just limit the defeats and pick up points where you're in losing positions, and then pick up wins where you're in drawing positions, that's the sign of a good team. And hopefully we can do that on many an occasion.
And you've responded well to that defeat, haven't you? Because you've picked up 3 straight wins since then, and I think last season that didn't always happen, did it?
No, and I think
dragged on a little bit.
Yeah, we had that great start. I think we started it here on a Tuesday night against Dagenham, wasn't it? We had a bit of a bad time, didn't we, for a while, and then at some point we didn't win in 8 or 9 games, and that's a bad run. Let's get it right. And we still ended up at 5 minutes away from promotion. So it's never all doom and gloom. But what you can try and do as a team is limit the doom and gloom, can't you? You can limit the negativity, and you only do that by winning games and good performances. And we've got to give ourselves a hell of a chance of being top by this time next week through winning our next 2 games.
Do you look at the sort of compare results to last season, where you go, this time last season you lost 3 in a row, so you think, these are extra bonus points if you like this season, and then next year when you get to sort of February time, you can go, well, we lost every single, we didn't win in 9 games in February or whatever it was, and you can say, well, these are extra bonus points this season.
No, I don't. I think I know what you're saying, but I think it's each season is a new season. It's a fresh start, and I think if you're going to look back on the things that make you feel better about yourself, like you've just said, then you were unfair to not look back on the things that make you feel worse about yourself. Well, last season we did this and we've not done that yet. So you end up frazzling your mind. Do you know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying, but I think each season is different. Naturally, there'll be a moment where you sit and go, last season this happened, obviously, but there isn't much discussion or research. It really is put everything to bed that's happened and look forward. The only thing we do look over is obviously the previous game or previous week's training and things we want to improve going into our next game, which tomorrow is Ebbsfleet. So, we're really pleased with the vibe and the atmosphere of the place after the win over Dagenham last week. But to think that we haven't looked back on that, just because we won, things we could do better, which are a lot of things we could do better, and try and put them into practice again, like I've said to you, after every game for our next game tomorrow, which we know is going to be tough.
James Berry made a big impact again off the bench. He's only started 1 in 6 games since he's come in. Is there anything in particular that he needs to do more to get more starts?
I suppose, maybe looking for the others not to play so well. That's the tough one, you know, because I say, but bar the Altrincham performance where virtually everyone was pretty much not at their game, basically, if we're going to be honest. Everyone's been all right, and especially attacking wise. So James has come in from a team which was in the league below the Northern Prem. Absolutely tore it up, got a glowing reputation. Has come in here in training, attitude when he's come on the pitch has been brilliant. And sometimes about bedding lads in gently, and what better way to come on the pitch and almost help, well not almost, save the day again against Dagenham with some blistering runs and, you know, some great assists and an attempted lob from the halfway line. You know, I love all that stuff. It shows such confidence. So there's a balance in there between if it's not broke, don't fix it. And when do you give someone a go? I totally get that. But the minute you got Ryan Coleclough top scorer, Michael Jacobs creating, who's obviously looking to get, you know, put some more goals away. Dobbs is excellent. So, you know, you've got players who are playing at the moment who are doing ever so well now. It's up to us as staff to decide if tomorrow's the day where there are some changes, but like I say, we'll have to wait and see if that happens.
Just finally, just in terms of injury news then, is Bailey Clements back in training this week?
Yeah, Bailey's back, available for selection, so I think it's only Raheem, sadly, that's a good few weeks away yet. So yeah, like I said to you last season, if we can just keep that squad, we've got a good squad, we can keep it all fit and firing, it keeps everyone who's in that starting 11 on their toes, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've had a really good record with injuries, haven't you, sort of this season and last season. Is there anything that you've changed, you know, that you can sort of give a bit of insight into?
Not really. I think obviously, you know, the manager's the head of it, and he leaves it up to myself and Gary to sort of control other stuff. But he's the head of it all and decides the training days, etc. And, you know, that's got a big part to play. And obviously, because more you're on the training ground, more chance of getting injured and the things you do in training, etc. Ben, the physio, only young, but, you know, got so much knowledge. Jordan, the young lad who's a fitness coach as well, is, you know, just because they're young, it doesn't make them any less knowledgeable. And they've been really good with the lads who are in train, out of training. They do a lot of prehab before, which a lot of clubs don't do. So every day before training, they go off to the gym before training to do exercise, etc. That will get them ready for the session ahead. And then after, they're back in the gym doing stuff. So they're non-stop, them two, which is a credit to them two lads. So I think it's a general thing. Sometimes you need a bit of luck, don't you? I mean, you know, about going old ground that season before last, and we had lads getting two-footed and smashed and all that and play on, and they were out for months on end. You know, George's Carline's tackle at Wrexham, Cabs' one. Touchwood, that doesn't happen to us, you know, because muscle injuries and that's part of the game. But, you know, when lads are getting smashed and it's costing them almost their careers, that's disappointing. So we had a few of them. So there's a lot of circumstances that are different now. But I think you've seen them out late goals we've got. We've got a fit group of lads, and that's not saying the lads previous my time here haven't been fit. But for whatever reason, they're fit lads and they can run and run and run. And hopefully that robustness will keep them on the availability list.